Yes. Hello, Riley friend. Welcome back to Max Answers Writing Advice Questions. Today we'll be going over a very special subject to me, one that I know I can rant about for ages and ages and ages and ages. That's why I'm doing it in this kind of really casual video. I've gotta go somewhere in a couple of minutes, so I thought let's sit down, turn the camera on, and talk about something very special. You see, it's only a little bit until November comes around, and with it comes National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo. Also, yes, I know that it's supposed to be pronounced NaNoWriMo, but NaNoWriMo sounds way better, rolls off the tongue way better, and it's just much more better phonetically sounding, so I'll be sticking to my guns if you don't mind. Anyhow, what are we talking about today? Today we're going to be talking about the one and only, the big bad wolf of NaNoWriMo, the NaNoWriMo dilemma. What is this dilemma? Is the idea that it springs just around 2-3 weeks before October ends, and it's the idea of what am I going to be doing for this NaNoWriMo? Am I going to start a new story, or go back to the project I started last year? I'm going to be going over my thoughts of that particular versus battle. Which will win? Only one can triumph. Last year's project, or a new, shiny, all shiny idea. But before any of that, allow me to, as always, give you the formal disclaimer and remind you that the following is merely just my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, instead take it as the ramblings of a silly person who actually took physical notes today, because I know myself very well, and I know that I can indeed ramble. And the recent videos have been kind of long, so I wanted to kind of keep my advice a little bit more concise. So, the NaNoWriMo dilemma. It's funny for me because I get that question pretty much every time a NaNoWriMo like event pops up, additionally, the Camp NaNoWriMo events in April and June or July, I forget which month it is, but you know, it happens every once in a while. National Novel Writing Month, for those of you who don't know, and I feel like I have to clarify every time because who knows, maybe you have never heard about it. There was a time when I didn't know what it was. National Novel Writing Month is a special event that happens every November, in which people are tasked with writing 50,000 words in 30 days, which averages out to about 1,637 words every night, to create a novella of 50,000 words. Write a book in 1 month. Simple as that. Now, usually the process leading up to that involves planning a novel, thinking about what you're gonna do, and eventually sitting down and actually starting to write the project. Amidst all of this planning and thinking emerges the NaNoWriMo dilemma, which is more prevalent amongst people who have already tried NaNoWriMo before. You see, you try a project, maybe it doesn't go so well, or maybe you just don't finish the book, or maybe 50,000 words, surprise, it's not enough to finish an entire book. And people put projects aside. And a year has passed, or several months have passed since the last Camp NaNoWriMo, and you find yourself with a dilemma. What should I do? Should I continue the project that I began, or should I work on a new project? What is the best way to go about doing things? So, let's take it from the top. What is the best way to go about doing things? Should you start a new project or pick up the one you started last year? Now, personally, of course, as always, I can't tell you which is the best way for you because you're a completely different writer. As always, as I've been saying forever, every writer is different, and you, no matter of your age or your experience, you have the right to create your very own way to do things. I'm here to share with you my point of view. I can't tell you which is the best way, but I can tell you what is the way that worked the best for me. And this is going to be very closely linked with part of my origin story, which I've been sharing here and there. And as you've heard in the past, when the pivotal point in my life happened, when I was at my lowest and when my writing wasn't going well, and when nothing was working out for me, writing was my refuge, and there came a point as well where I wasn't feeling fulfilled and happy with my own writing, and that came, and I am level-headed enough that I can search in my mind and find the very right point where I realized that writing stopped being fun for me, and it stopped being fun because I felt I wasn't going anywhere. And what was I feeling like that? I was feeling like that because I would start projects, start them, get about right up to the midway point. You know, the second act, the one everyone hates to write. Second act, I would lose interest, I would lose steam, I would stop writing every night like I used to, and then next thing you know, everything's lost. A week passes, I feel bad, I feel guilt, and then I just start a new story, and the cycle begins. Do I feel happy about that? Do I feel sad about that? A little bit. I mean, I know that I should feel embarrassed admitting that, but it's part of being a writer to grow and to advance. Again, I'm level-headed enough to be able to look at that and see that was the problem right there. I wasn't finishing anything. And much like in writing and like in any other discipline, you have to finish one cycle to be able to fully understand or at least appreciate the entire process. As a matter of fact, I recently put up a video titled Overcoming the Shiny New Idea Problem, which deals very closely with this issue as well. Because no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter how many years you've spent writing, there's always going to be shiny new ideas out there. And while it may seem like the best course of action to stop what you're doing and start chasing that fresh new idea, eventually you're gonna grab it, it's gonna become less shiny, less new, and you're gonna get used to that new world, and a new shiny idea will pop around somewhere else. I recommend you go watch the video. There should have been an annotation on the screen somewhere. Go click on it, go watch it. It's like a companion to this video. Now, I don't want to just be repeating myself for another video. There's something else that I want to say, and it's one of those really harsh things, but I'm just gonna come out and say it, okay? That project that you did last year, that other NaNoWriMo, if you don't finish it now, you're never going to finish it. I'm just going to say this right now. I don't know a single writer out there. I've never met a single person who stops writing a project and comes back to it and finishes it later. I don't know anybody who does that. If you have stopped writing it and you go write something else, that project is never going to get finished. Now, I'm not in your head. I haven't lived your life. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what your projects are. But here's my personal point of view. If you're gonna try NaNoWriMo and you are at a fork on the road and you must choose between finishing that old project and starting a new one, I want to be the person standing in the middle of that fork, giving you this warning. If you really don't care about that old story, don't finish it, start something new, and finish that story. Because you have to finish things. Finishing things is the only way you're gonna be able to grow and develop as a writer. Because trust me, starting stories is fun and engaging, but you have to finish them, go all the way through the journey to be able to fully, entirely comprehend the entire process. It's a long journey, of course it is. You're telling a whole story for hundreds of pages. It takes a while, but once you get to the end, it's a very fulfilling experience. It's one of the most important experiences in my life, and I want you to have that experience as well. Now, really quickly, let's go back to me standing in the middle of that metaphorical fork. If you really are not going to finish that old story, if you're really not planning on finishing it, be honest with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, do I really want to go back to this story? Because if you don't, stop guilting yourself and move forward. But if you do want to finish it, if you love that world, if you love those characters, and you can't stand to let them go, sit down and finish that story. Do it. Some people out there, and I'm just going to start dispelling a bunch of really small questions. Does it count as NaNoWriMo to not start a new novel? Don't worry about that. NaNoWriMo is not about writing a novel in 50 days. People tell you that, but I'll tell you right now the secret, what NaNoWriMo is actually about, okay? Leaning closer, I'll tell you the secret, okay? NaNoWriMo is not about writing X amount of words in X amount of days. NaNoWriMo is about putting yourself through a challenge that will eventually, ultimately, help you develop the habit to write every day. That's what NaNoWriMo is about. At its core, that's actually what it is. And it always pains me when I hear people who, like, on December the 1st, right at the end of NaNoWriMo, they stop writing. And I'm like, you have it. You have developed a habit. That is the hardest thing to get. Keep writing. Keep creating books. Take a break here and there, sure, but don't just flat out stop writing, because you're gonna end up with the same situation next year. You're gonna stop writing this book, and then next year, you're gonna find yourself on this same cycle. And by now, how many years have passed? How many stories have you started? How many of these stories are just lingering on the back of your mind, just making you feel guilty that you didn't finish them? Take this as a great chance to sit down, think, be honest with yourself, think about what you really want to do, and go back to writing. Simple as that. I don't want to be the person who tells you, do this or do that. Be honest with yourself. You're a human being. You're a writer of your own, and you deserve to make your own choices. So I'm going to empower you, give you the power to make the choice for yourself. If you can let go of that story, let go of that story and stop feeling guilty about it. If you can't, if you cannot bear the thought of letting go of that world, go back and finish it, because that world deserves to be told. That story deserves to be shared with the world. So go out and do it. And I just realized that I'm a little late for where I need to go because I rambled for too darn long, so I'm going to be wrapping up the video right about now. As always, if you have your own thoughts or feedbacks or questions you would like me to answer, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Mwah!